think about it for a second. We communicate all day, every single day, right? From texts and emails to endless video calls. It's pretty much the one skill we're using constantly, from the second we wake up till our head hits the pillow.
But here's the thing that's always kind of bugged me. If we're practicing this skill nonstop, why do we still get it so wrong so often? You know what I'm talking about? How does a simple conversation suddenly blow up into a huge misunderstanding? Or how do crystal clear instructions get, well, completely lost in translation?
And you know, the stakes here are incredibly high. We're not talking about small slip-ups. A single miscommunication can totally derail a project, it can fracture a friendship, or even sabotage your career. So getting this right, it isn't just some soft skill, it's absolutely critical. So let's dig in and figure out where we're all going wrong.
Okay, so to figure out where we're going wrong, we actually have to unlearn something first. Something that almost all of us think we know. It all starts with a very, very famous and, as it turns out, a very misunderstood rule.
Oh yeah, you've definitely seen this before. The 7-38-55 rule. It's everywhere. The whole idea is that our communication is only 7% about the actual words we use. The other 93%, that's all tone of voice and body language. And it's treated like this universal, scientific truth of human interaction.
But let's think about that for a second. This rule basically suggests that what you say barely matters as long as you look confident and sound right. But if that were really true, you should be able to follow 93% of a conversation in a language you don't even speak. And well, that doesn't sound right at all, does it? So what's the real story here? Well, this is the best part. This quote is from the man himself, Albert Mehrabian, the actual researcher behind the studies. He explicitly says his findings have been taken completely out of context. The rule only applies when you're talking about your feelings and your attitudes. You know, things like whether you like or dislike something.
So here's the bottom line. The myth is that this rule is for all communication. The reality? Mehrabian studies from way back in 1967 had people listening to single, isolated words. Words like maybe. Then they had to judge the emotion based on the tone in a photo. So yeah, if you say the word thanks with a super sarcastic tone, the tone obviously matters more. But if you're explaining a complex project plan, trust me, the words absolutely matter.
Okay, so if we can't just rely on some simple formula, what's the real solution? Well, it comes down to a skill that's pretty easy to understand, but let's be honest, much harder to actually practice, and that is active listening. Let's break down the playbook.
The active listening playbook really has 5 core moves. First up, pay attention. And I mean really pay attention. Phones down, tabs closed. Give the speaker your undivided focus. Second, show you're listening. This is where that body language stuff actually comes in handy. You know, nodding, having an open posture, making those little verbal cues like uh-huh or I see. Third, and this one is so important, provide feedback. Paraphrase what you're hearing, saying something simple like, okay, so what I'm hearing is a game changer for making sure you're on the same page. Fourth, defer judgment. Just let them finish. Don't interrupt. And finally, number 5, respond appropriately. Be candid, be respectful, and be honest in your response.
Now, active listening is awesome for face-to-face conversations. But let's be real. What about the world most of us actually live in now? You know, the world of emails, Slack, and remote teams, where all those nonverbal cues are just gone. The same principles have to apply, but they've got to adapt.
And just think about this number for a second. A staggering 86%. That's almost 9 out of 10 of employees say that ineffective communication is the #1 reason for workplace failures. Now put that into a remote setting, where all those little nonverbal hints are completely missing. The potential for misunderstandings it skyrockets.
So how do we get it right when we're writing? The playbook is actually pretty clear. First, just simplify your message. Use straightforward language, ditch the jargon. Next, always provide context. Don't just tell someone what to do, explain the why behind it. Also, you've got to encourage a feedback loop. Make it a safe space for people to ask questions. And please proofread your messages to catch any confusing bits. Finally, remember that a little personalized acknowledgement goes a really long way in keeping everyone engaged.
All right, so we've talked about the past and the present of communication, but the next huge shift, well, it's already here, and it's being driven by AI. And no, this isn't science fiction anymore. This is literally the new operating model for business.
I mean, the speed of this evolution has been absolutely wild. Think about it. Just a couple years ago, back in 2022, AI was grabbing headlines. It was this new, exciting thing. Fast forward to 2025, and it's already a core operational tool. And now, here in 2026, we are entering what's being called the era of AI orchestration. This is where AI doesn't just write an email for you, it manages entire real-time conversations.
And hey, the numbers don't lie. According to McKinsey, AI adoption inside companies jumped a full 10 percentage points in just 1 year. That's huge. It's not a cool extra thing anymore. It's quickly becoming the very foundation of how businesses operate and communicate.
You know, this quote from Casper Rose at Aspire just nails it. He says customer expectations are shifting away from static, document-centric stuff and toward dialogue-driven, conversational, real-time engagement. In other words, we're moving away from one-way messages. The future is a real-time conversation where the system anticipates what you need next, all orchestrated by AI.
So, this all brings us to one final, really important question. As AI gets better and better at managing our conversations, what does it really mean to be human in all this? Well, the skills that are going to matter most are the ones AI just can't fake: real empathy, genuine connection, and deep, nuanced understanding. As AI starts to handle more of the what, our uniquely human ability to deliver the why and the how, that's going to become more valuable than ever before.